Hi there. Just wanted to run through how to read your program. So if you've received this video link, it means that you've already watched, I'm hoping, the video around the notes and basically how we need to set ourselves up before we get into training. So this can be a much shorter video now. So we're looking at how to read your program. So every program is going to be different depending on the end goal, who you are, etc., but there's some overriding things that will always be the same. So always look and see if there's any specific mobility you need to do. Yep, so with the mobility tab here, basically these are things that we've kind of worked on together, and you really need to be doing this before your training, essentially as a warm-up. So yes, these can take a while sometimes, but as we go through, the end goal is to reduce the amount of mobility work you need to do. If you're still doing tons of mobility work after 6 months, that's not the intention. The intention is to reduce the amount of mobility work. But these are going to essentially act as a little bit of a warm-up. So there's just an example here. So there's a whole bunch of mobility exercises through here, some stretches, and then down here some walking lunges, side planks. Basically, there's a little bit of a warm-up, so-called activation drills, and so on and so forth. Yeah, but basically the key point is the mobility work is to be done before your training program. Then we're going to move to session 1, so we're going to call this 3 sessions a week. You may have 4, 5, or 6. You may have some conditioning work in there. But if we go to session 1 then, what we see, and again, don't worry too much about the exercises here or the weights and this sort of thing. I just want you to make sure you completely understand how we set this out. So with the exercise, obviously that's the name of the exercise. We've got the sets and reps column here, so it's going to do 3 sets of 5, 3 sets of 6, and so on and so forth. There may be some changes to this, and you can see an example of this here, where this particular client is on a 3-week wave with a deadlift variant that we've got here. So in the first week, they've got 7 sets of 3, 167.5, 6 by 3, 177.5 kilos, 5 by 3 at 185 kilos. Now, where I've put in specific weights is based on basically your training max. It's always going to be a percentage. Yeah. So in this particular case, I really want this client to treat the very best they can to hit this amount of volume at this amount of weight, because that's just what we need to do right now in the program. Now, when I put these weights in, yeah, it doesn't mean they are set in stone. If you're having a great day, feel free to push that up if you can by a max of around 2.5%. So we're talking small window, but around 2.5% increase will be fine. If you're just having a really crappy day, you're tired, you're just not feeling it, you're just not in the groove today, feel free to drop that by 2.5%, even as much as 5, okay? 5, okay? So that 167.5 could have a 7.5% variance. So you might go over up to 2.5%, don't want you going any further than that, but you might drop it down as much as 5% just to make sure we get sufficient quality volume in there. Yeah, so remember, good quality training is what leads to good quality results. Where you see RIR, that stands for reps in reserve. So it's basically use whatever weight you need to on the day to get, in this example, 3 sets of 6 in the walking lunge, and we need to use a weight that allows you to get the 3 sets of 6 but allows you to have what you feel is about 2 reps left in the tank. Yeah, so again, we're not going to absolute failure. Now the RIR will be different. So there's some exercise like walking lunges. We don't take walking lunges to failure because of the balance component. It's a big movement. Really not a great idea to be taking those to failure after doing heavy deadlifts and squats. So that's why it's a -2. We're staying away from failure while still getting good work in. With, for example, here the glute ham raise, essentially you're locked into a machine and working your hamstrings. So we can safely go to a reps in reserve of -1. So we're going closer to failure, because if you fail on the glute ham raise, the worst thing that will happen is you put your hands down on the machine and just have a rest. Nothing bad's going to happen here. Yeah. Same with the seated rotator cuff. So this particular exercise is a very small exercise, small muscles, small weights. If you take that a little bit closer to failure with a -1 rep in reserve, that's absolutely fine. But essentially, if you see RIR in your program, that's reps in reserve. Okay, we'll move quickly on. So we can, if you see RPE here is standing for rating of perceived exertion. So it might exertion. So it might be, in this example here, a 2-second paused front squat, which is a really horrible, nasty exercise. We can't really say, all right, we're going to work up to, at some point, a 1 rep max in your 2-second pause front squat. It makes no sense at all. So all we're going to do is use an RPE rating, so rating of perceived exertion. And here in this program, there's an RPE of 7. So imagine 100% is an RPE of 10, so work to about 70% of what you feel like on the day. Now, if you've been training for less than 12 to 24 months, you're probably not going to be getting an RPE scale on your program, because we need a large volume of time training to really decipher the difference between a 7, a 7.5, and an 8. So for a lot of you, we're going to be using reps in reserve. That's a lot easier to gauge. So that will be RPE if you see that. Next up, you may see this concept of AMRAP. So with this particular program here, there's a competition deadlift. The client's doing two sets of 2 at 105 kilos. So she's going to do 9 sets of 2 on a 10th set. She's basically going to do as many reps as she can. Yeah. So AMRAP stands for as many reps as possible on the last set. So with her, we're taking her to absolute failure on a big compound lift. Does the risk go up? Yes, it does, but she's been training for many, many years. She's at a very high level. She knows when to pull the pin. However, you must understand, with an AMRAP, we are looking at how many reps can you perform with good technique. An AMRAP is not an excuse to start performing shitty technique with poor quality movement, with no real intention to perform the exercise well. Yeah. So if you do an AMRAP and you get 10 reps, but your form breaks down at 6, I'm only going to count those 6. I'm not going to give you the 4 if they look like crap. So you've just wasted time, risked injury, and you're going to be really quite upset. So don't do it. So also here, some of you may be getting this, EMOM, so every minute on the minute. So with this deadlift here, you see the single asterisk. We go down here, so every minute on the minute. So she's performing a set of 2 deadlifts at 105 kilos for 10 reps every minute on the minute, and then the very last one doing an AMRAP. So some of you may have this for some conditioning work if we decide that's appropriate for you right now. Okay. So yeah, that's a little guide to your program, a little guide to some of the terms and things like this, like the RIR, RPE, etc., etc. So just refer back to this video if there's something in your program you don't understand. If you're still not sure, then shoot me a message. Enjoy your training. Thank you.